Welcome back guys to the Savoys Properties YouTube channel. Today we're going to go through a few gems, secrets that many property developers will not tell you on how to find and secure real deals at property auction houses. Now, firstly, what you want to do is, depending on the auction house that you're looking at, look it up on Google. Basically, type in Allsop auction results. Allsop is one of the bigger auction houses. They've been going for, I believe, over 100 years and cover basically the majority of the UK. And if there's a deal to be found, we tend to find it on Allsop. So type in Allsop auction results, go onto the website, look for the results page just here. So this will include commercial and residential auction results. The one that we're interested in today is the residential side. So if we look at the last one here, which is for November, we click on this. Now, once on the page, it will include everything sold, withdrawn, sold prior, and still available. Now, one tip here is to actually look at the status. So if you arrange it here, you'll be able to see that you've got a list of available. What that actually means is these deals, they had some registered interest, but then they actually hit the reserve price and it's still available for you to secure. The good news is the sellers of these sites will actually be now more motivated to accept more reasonable or lower priced offers. So let's just take an example is this property here, lot 25, which is 2 freehold buildings. Now, once it's loaded up, you'll see that this is actually 2 properties in Kentish Town with a guide price of 1.35 million. It's actually currently let with a passing rent of 156k per annum. Now, what you can actually do on this is, if it is something of interest, find the auctioneer. The way you do that is, if you scroll through, you'll see there's a member of the team here listed. It has basically his direct phone number and his email address. Now, before you contact the auctioneer, go through all the particulars for the property. This includes the accommodation schedule. So if you go through here, it will show how this building is broken up. It looks like it's actually broken up into several studio flats. They're on ASTs, some of them are holding over, some are actually recent ASTs. Make sure that this is something of interest. Check it out on the map to ensure you know where the property is, and it is a site that is of interest. You can street view, you can actually look at the floor plan showing how the building is actually made up. So it shows here the existing elevations from the front to the side, and there should be now a breakdown of how it's actually arranged inside. So this looks like it's HMO style studios. So they're not typically the 37.5 square meters minimum space standards required for a studio flat. It looks like it was broken into smaller units over time, and with established use. They probably have planning, but this is something that you want to actually look into. So it looks like it's several studio flats arranged over 3 floors. So now if you look through, this is probably going to be one of the more important parts, which is legal documents. So here you'll be able to download the special conditions. Most auctioneers will expect you've looked at this before you put an auction offer in. You'll need to log into the account. You'll be able to download basically the office copy entries, local searches, and special conditions. Special conditions is something you want to pay special consideration to and actually get your legal team to check, because we know many buyers that have actually been stung by not actually reading the legal conditions. It could be a percentage fee assigned to the selling price that you need to pay in addition to the purchase price. Now, once you're actually ready to make that offer, what you want to do is contact that auctioneer. So as discussed, in this case, the auctioneer will actually be Richard Adamson, and he's got his direct number there and his email. So when you're actually ready to make that offer, contact the auctioneer. In this case, it's Richard Adamson. His contact number is there, his email address is there. Probably sometimes the best way is to actually pick up the phone, speak to the auctioneer initially. Once you're on that same sort of level in terms of where they expect the offer to be. Put that formally in writing via an email. Include all the information the auctioneer is going to require. This includes who the purchaser is, the address details, your solicitor's details, maybe even your broker's details, along with the proof of funds. In all cases, you require a minimum of 10% on exchange, and you'll need to show that you actually have access to those funds. Now, let's have a look at something else. So we looked at unsold lots, but there's something else which a lot of auction buyers miss. So now, having discussed sites that were unsold at auction, let's have a look at something else, sites that have been withdrawn from auction. So this, again, is quite straightforward. You can actually do this by actually going to the status and changing that as such. You may be wondering, what is a withdrawn site? So typically, if a site doesn't actually get too much attention, this being legal pack downloads and people actually registering to bid for this auction site, then the auctioneers will typically advise the vendor to actually withdraw the sale of this. However, this doesn't mean the vendor isn't interested in actually selling this site. He's probably still as motivated and maybe even more motivated once he knows there isn't much interest. However, a lot of people ignore withdrawn sites. Let's just take an example here. There's a site, freehold, semi-detached house in Barking. So click on this, you can see it's withdrawn. Let's have a look at the accommodation schedule. It's basically 2 reception rooms, 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. It's on a AST with generating £1,800 per calendar month. The EPC is expired, as you can see, and it's got a council tax banding of D. So there's a few things here which will be quite motivational. Because the EPC is actually being expired, there's probably some negotiation there, and it's on an E rating, which is a little bit desirable because a lot of lenders actually prefer C and above and actually give cheaper rates to actually do that. Now, let's have a look if this is actually a decent buy. So we go here, right move, sold prices. Now let's open up this. Let's take the postcode of this site. So IG11 9UW. So type that in here, IG11 9UW, and let's search. You can have a look that a few years ago, a 4-bedroom house on the same road sold for $504,000, $535,000 for a 3-bedroom. So now let's go back to this site here because there could be a deal to be had. When it's withdrawn, it actually removes the price that it was actually sold for, but sometimes you're able to download a PDF of this. But what you probably want to do here is see if this deal is something of interest. Speak to your broker to ensure that you'll be able to get funding on this site. And you may be wanting to put in an offer probably sub 500 or so on this site here. Look, maybe 450 is a good price to actually start that conversation with the auctioneer. And in this case, what you need to do is contact the actual team member involved in this at Allsop. This is Simon Hepworth. Again, you've got his direct dial there and you've got his email address if needed. So now from the description, you can see the property is ranged as a 4-bedroom HMO. It's got 2 reception rooms on the ground floor. It's got 2 bathrooms. This will probably actually make an ideal HMO because you could probably create 6 ensuite rooms internally without having to spend a great deal of money. This, then you'll be able to refinance on an investment valuation. The likelihood is you'll probably be able to increase the value of this. Let's just say it's worth 500,000 to somewhere in the region of 750 by using an investment calculation. This will allow you to pull all your capital back out and go again on other sites. Now, I hope these 2 gems are something that you'll be able to use on a daily basis. Over the past 20 odd years, we've been using this to find sites within our areas and secure them at lower prices. I hope you enjoyed watching. Follow us and subscribe to Savoys Properties for more property info.